Bail and bond in Indiana. If you've been charged with a criminal offense in Indiana, shortly after that, you will be given what's called a bond. That is the amount of money that you'll have to post in order to get out of jail. Now, depending on the offense, you'll be given a bond shortly after you go to jail, or in some instances, you'll have to wait for your initial hearing the first time that you're in front of a judge to be given a bond amount. Now, in Indiana, there are a couple different types of bonds, and they depend on certain courts, certain jurisdictions, and then certain crimes as well. One of the more common bonds in Indiana is a straight cash bond. And what that means is once a bond amount has been posted, for example, $500, you or a family member can pay $500 to the jail, which will go through the city clerk's office, and you'll be able to post that bail and get out of jail. That is an entirely refundable bond, meaning that as long as you continue to appear to court, you don't go on the run, that at the end of your case, whether you're found not guilty or even if you are found guilty, whoever posted that original cash bond will be able to get that back. Now that differs from what a surety bond is. A surety bond is something that goes through a bail bondsman. Now, a bail bondsman is someone that will put up money in order to help get you out of jail. So, if you have a surety bond, you will have to pay 10% of that cash, but then the bondsman will pay the other 90%. So if you have a $10,000 surety bond, you would pay $1,000 cash to a bondsman, and the bondsman would pay the other $9,000 to get you out of jail. Now, the big things with surety bonds are those are non-refundable, meaning that no matter what, you are not getting that money back. You're not getting the cash that you paid to the bondsman, and you're certainly not getting the rest of the money that the bondsman paid on your behalf back at the conclusion of the case. Some courts will do a hybrid system, meaning that they will put some money towards a cash bond, and they will ask for some additional money as a surety bond. In that situation, you would have to pay a cash amount to the court, but also some minimal cash amount to a bondsman so they can pay the rest of that surety. At the end of that case, you would get the cash bond back, but you would not get the surety bond back. Now, in some circumstances, a cash bond, even though it's refundable, will not go back to whoever posted it. The biggest thing that is going to prevent you getting that cash bond money back is if you fail to come to court. One of the promises you make by posting bond is that you are going to come back to court, meaning if you do not come back to court, the judge could forfeit that money and you will never get it back. Now, if you're able to post bond, sometimes there are conditions attached to that bond. And what that means is not only are you going to have to pay some sort of money to get out of jail, there might be conditions of your release. Sometimes, depending on the circumstances, that can be alcohol monitoring, it can be GPS monitoring, or it could be home detention. Now, those are conditions that are put in place outside of the cash bond. So even if you post the cash bond, you're still going to have to abide by the conditions the judge puts in place, or else you're subject to lose that cash bond and end up sitting in jail while the case is pending. Now again, the bond's going to depend on the specific crime that you're charged with. Certain jurisdictions in Indiana will not issue a bond until you've been seen by a judge for the first time, mainly for higher level offenses or domestic violence crimes. For example, if you're charged with a domestic violence crime, you're typically going to have to sit in jail for at least 24 hours, and then once you see the judge, then you will be issued a bond, and that way you can bond out of jail. Some situations, you will not have to see a judge before you're able to bond out. In other situations, if it's a low-level crime, if you do not have a criminal history, you might not have to post a bond. The judge may release you on your own recognizance, and what that means is, instead of posting a cash bond, the judge is going to release you from jail on your promise that you will return to court at a later time. If you're facing criminal charges or know someone who is, or if you have questions about bond or bail in the state of Indiana, please give us at the Marc Lopez Law Firm a call, 317-632-3642, and always remember, plead the fifth.